On August 8th, 2022, the nation learned for the first time in history a former president's home was searched by federal agents acting lawfully. It is the kind of news that just hit like a thunderclap across the nation and really the world. Unprecedented details still sinking in.
Nothing like this has ever happened before, and we don't know how this ends.
Breaking news courtesy of a brand new statement that just crossed from Donald Trump. His home in Mar-a-Lago is, quote, under siege, raided and occupied by a large group of FBI agents.
Stunning news overnight, an FBI raid on the home of a former president.
Search and seizure. The FBI descends on former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home.
We have a breaking Fox News alert. The FBI has raided former President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago.
Federal law enforcement authorities would have had to go to a judge and bring to that judge a request for a search warrant.
We begin this hour with one word: unprecedented.
Today, we are in uncharted territory. The FBI search at Mar-a-Lago has no parallel in American history.
That's all true, and that's all sinking in. The first ever search of a former president's home, setting what is today something we didn't have until yesterday, a new legal precedent in America. That matters for the law. It's captivating many, many people all over the country, no matter how you get your news, newspaper, television, internet, phone alerts, social media. This is the big story. It upends Trump's current situation. That obviously matters to him and to our politics and to a thicket of legal implications that we're covering for you tonight. We've been working hard on our broadcast and a special report coming up later and some very special guests. But let me tell you this up front. At the broadest level, this development is the clearest, starkest, most physical indication that the United States is still governed by the rule of law, that Donald Trump is not above it, and that confidential independent investigations are clearly continuing and sometimes escalating that involve him and some of his conduct as president. I say physical because it was armed federal agents who took that judicially approved search warrant, crossing through the gates of Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, going through the files, going through what is both his property, allegedly going through his safe, and also going through property that he may have had in his possession but was not his, pursuing secret government documents that Donald Trump was reportedly holding after he had flouted what were, and this is important, flouted binding legal demands to return them. We're a full 20 months or so after Trump left the White House after his attempted coup failed, and he was still apparently holding on to these documents. There was also the very grave step of a top DOJ counter-intel official who already had gone down previously to confront Trump's team back in the spring about reportedly these materials that he had taken improperly, possibly illegally, from the White House. On Monday, agents spent most of the day conducting the search with, we're told, one Trump lawyer present. None of this incredible, unprecedented story leaked out in any way in advance that we've heard. Indeed, the first public disclosure about this search came from someone who, of course, can lawfully explain it and publicize it. But if you want to call it a leak, the leak came from Donald Trump himself. The FBI had quietly, secretly, properly coordinated this operation, as well as the particulars of what happens when a former president who has lawful Secret Service protection and other legal protections and retinue of guards and other things that are his under the law as a former official, makes him different than other potential people who are searched. So the FBI also quietly coordinated with the Secret Service who were on the site. That was a few hours before the search. And reports suggest Trump basically knew before the Biden White House, where staff heard the news, the New York Times reports, like everyone else, on Twitter, online, in the public news. Donald Trump was in New York yesterday during this time, where he apparently wrote out that statement, which broke the news in a way. He was seen leaving Trump Tower just last night. And he is known for trying to outrun and outpace the law. We all know that. You're watching the news, you know that. Donald Trump tries to outrun the law, figuratively, literally, however you want to put it in a combination. And this story certainly has a long path. The hunt for these documents began with the material that Donald Trump took from Washington down to Florida. He also faces separate civil and criminal probes in New York, Washington, Georgia. Now we know a judge in Florida approving a search for Trump's Florida home for these materials that now have been taken from Mar-a-Lago and are going back to Washington. Whew. Right? I'll tell you, it's like a lot of miles logged. But this is still about the law, no matter how many places you try to go with all the stuff. It was Kenny Rogers who once explained, you can hide out for a while, but you can't outrun the long arm of the law. Sean Carter hit the same theme, how the criminal mindset involves running and secrecy. He recounted a thug under a lamppost, why he got his hand closed, crack in the palm, watching the long arm of the law. Now, hiding crack, like hiding stolen state secrets, is a crime. It just is. That's a legal fact. And watching the long arm of the law for long enough, well, most people do find out the law catches up. And the law is not supposed to care how long you've been running, how long you got away with it, how long you made the long arm of the law maybe stretch. And during that time, you might have felt like a powerful, furtive, effective criminal outrunning the law. The law doesn't care about that, and it doesn't care who you are. That's the whole point.